Hey everyone, my name is Tyler Gross and I wanted to talk a little bit about what I did for my consultation project. I decided to collaborate with a group and an organization that is local called CAVP, and that stands for Colorado Anti-Violence Program. Now it's a program that I've worked with before, and it's because I've started to find that it's so helpful for me in the classroom because a lot of my students are a part of the LGBTQ community, which is the community that this program stands up for and advocates for equal rights because they are a minority group and they are marginalized in our nation. Now, before I get into the different strategies that I use during this process for the consultation, I wanted to show you the actual product that I made. So I made brochures for them that I'm going to take to them, and I'm going to actually take it to them this weekend and show them to them so that they have something to hand out to promote what they do for these groups of people and beyond. So as you can see on the front, I have their logo. I have a little blurb about what they do, and then I have their physical address, which is hard to find. You can't just find it on the internet. Their website's very unclear about it, so I decided to put that on the front. Now, if you open up the brochure, on this side you can see that there's risk factors, and there's definitions of different risk factors for this group of marginalized people. And then I included a section where it says how it all works together, and then I gave a little blurb about what CAVP actually does. Now, on the other side, I had a piece about taking action and some of the facts to make it relevant so that people can understand why this is important. And then I also included some of the services that CAVP provides, including a 24-hour hotline, including education programs where they come into your business or education setting to talk to students or other people that you may come into encounter with during your work time. And then I also included their legal services that they offer, and so on and so forth. And then on the back, I just included some resources for people to look up for additional organizations that do similar things. Now, to talk about the consultation strategies, I used behavioral consultation strategies and clinical consultation strategies. The behavioral one started with me identifying a problem, and this happened at an event that I went to for CAVP called Root Down, Rise Up. And at this event, I was working the front table, and a lot of people were coming through and saying, I want more information. How can I tell people about what you guys do? And I didn't really have anything to hand out. It was all by word of mouth. And I just thought that this was a huge opportunity that they were missing out on. So instead of everything being verbal, I figured I could make a hard copy of something so that at future events, they could just hand them out. So that was the first step. And then the second step was to analyze the problem. So what I did is I got in touch with the director of the program. I emailed her and I asked if there was a time she could meet with me. We met up at the CAVP location, and it was in a boardroom, like a meeting room, and her and I talked about maybe some ways to help with their marketing and help be able to have hard copies. I used various interpersonal strategies that are outlined in Friend and Cook's textbook, and I will outline those in a little bit later. And then our next step was the intervention. We agreed on making a brochure. We discussed the different responsibilities. I let her know the best way to communicate with me was email or text, and I let her know that I would be willing to do it for volunteer work, and I also talked to her about this class and how it would work for this class as well. Finally, evaluation, which is currently pending. Like I said, I finished these up, and I'm going to drop them off this weekend, and then at the end of the month, I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to go to a volunteer meeting to see how everybody, what everybody thinks of them, and how people are reacting to them to see if they're working or not. Now, some clinical consultation strategies that I used, it was very similar. I met with the director to discuss my aspirations for the project. We analyzed the problem and how it could be improved, and we suggested different ways that we could solve the problem. Her and I went through negotiation as far as, should we do a brochure? Should we do additional booths at different events in the local metro area? Or should we just advertise in different ways, like on park benches or bus stops and all those different things? We thought brochure was a good first step. Now, the interpersonal skills that I used, I thought of perception, because they mention that in the book, and that's basically what's important to some people and what's important to other people. And sometimes they don't always align because we all have different backgrounds. And this is based on our experiences, our beliefs, and our values. And so her and I had very different beliefs and values and experiences, but we prioritized by finding common passions. She's a student, I'm a student. We're both passionate for standing up for marginalized groups. So we were able to find those avenues in order to help us out and to help us find common ground. It took for me to keep an open mind because some of the stuff she was saying I disagreed with. But I wasn't really in the position to say I disagree with that. I was an outside person coming in, and there was this already system built that I had to kind of fit in. And so I knew how to play my role, and I think that that really benefited me in the long run. Me and Dr. Westland have been talking about, and I've mentioned this to her before, about using silence effectively, and that's something that I was always felt was super awkward. Silence, I would shy away from silence, but I'm learning that it encourages the receiver of the messages to be genuine in their response. Thinking before speaking can be so powerful, and this has allowed me to slow down and think about the questions I'm asking and think about the things that I'm offering. Also, it allows for me to find a natural pace in the discussion, so the discussion becomes way more authentic and way more beneficial. And it allows for me to respect all perceptions because it allows me to take my time, stop after what I say, and it allows both parties to think about what they're saying and respect for everything that is being said. So very quickly, what did I learn? Well, I learned that communicating with different communities can be different because different people have different norms. So for instance, when I'm communicating with my students in my classroom, I have different norms than when I'm going to somebody else's place and I'm communicating with them under their norms. So this is just communicating with different purposes and always keeping that in mind. Taking in your surroundings and understand what form of communication is going to work best. Why is this important? Well, because I work with a diverse population. I need to be able to identify different norms so that I can effectively communicate with different people from different backgrounds with different perceptions. And finally, what steps am I taking from here? I need to wait for the feedback. I'm looking forward to this end of this month and going to this meeting to be able to see how they like my brochure. I want to get an evaluation from CAVP, the directors, and all the volunteers there. And I would love to start creating this stuff for my classroom. I think brochures can be super beneficial for my students to take home to their families or whatever it may be. So, it's been 7 minutes. I'm sorry to keep you so long. Thank you for watching my video. Until next time, take care.